Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. I also just want to let you guys know to turn on the notifications if you enjoy the channel, because that way you'll get sent every single video. So today we are going to be covering the one, the only, Marissa Matthews. So I believe I have had some of her TikToks featured on my channel, but not very many of them because she was gone for a minute. But she's back. She's still mostly the same, I would say. But it was interesting to go through her feed and just kind of pick up on certain things. But let's go ahead and see. Let's see how she's doing in this new era. Let's get right into it.
For the millionth fucking time, existing as a fat person is not promoting obesity. Loving your body and being confident about your body is also not promoting obesity. So fuck off.
Ooh, I need to be careful here. So, what I will say is, gosh, okay. For those of you guys that don't know her, she's particularly abrasive. I've always found her kind of entertaining. Her views are really, really interesting to me. But just to give a little bit of a background, she's Canadian. She does sex work, or she has. And she, I guess, had to move like last year or earlier this year or something. She had to move in with people, and I guess she's having some financial issues. She did mention that in one of her TikToks that I'm not covering here, so that's a little bit of an update. But as you can see, she's basically the same person. And I also just want to say I figured out she was a Capricorn too, for any of you guys that are interested in that. Her birthday is on Christmas. So that was interesting to me as well, but take with that what you will. Now, what I will say is I do agree that just existing as a fat person is not promoting obesity, as she says. But when you have an entire TikTok page to fat acceptance talking points and to talking about your body and saying it's healthy and saying it's all these things, or saying it's okay, saying it doesn't matter if it's unhealthy, it doesn't matter this, it doesn't matter that, you are promoting obesity within something like that. So again, I find that a lot of times when FAs say this, they say it from a place of complete intellectual dishonesty, of complete, like, they're trying to do a sort of sleight of hand, which most people that are older can see right through it. It's really something that only works on younger people, or people who are not experienced with liars, I would say. But yes, let's continue. So I hope YouTube doesn't trip about her, about the way she's dressed. Oh my gosh, look at her face. Gosh, girl. Okay. I think people just are worried when they see bigger people. I sympathize with that. I just know how much stress and anxiety went away. So I looked at the comments, and this person was talking about how they lost weight and their stress and anxiety went away from when they were a 4XL to a medium. That's a huge shift. I think they said they lost 225 pounds or something like that. So a huge amount of weight lost in this person. And of course, she took offense to this. You can see the little Halloween stuff. This is very recent. This is like 5 days ago. Look, I'm getting y'all the tea, okay? We're seeing Marissa. She's back. She's back. Let's go.
Hello. So this is like a friendly reminder that my existence is not consent for you giving me advice or health advice. My existence, me walking by, you seeing me, it's not consent, okay? At all.
So I find this interesting once again because a lot of people, especially people like Marissa, I could say the same thing to you. So I could say my existence or the things that I say online are not consent for you to tell me what to believe about obesity or for you to tell me how to talk about the issue of obesity. You don't have my consent to comment on how I speak about this topic. It's a very, very poor argument. It's really cringy. And in terms of online, you implicitly give consent to receive comments if you post something publicly or if you allow comments. So I'm not trying to get into the whole like, just take comments down, Marissa. I'm not really trying to do all that because I've seen so many creators talk about how she should just do that. But what I will say is she is very hypocritical here because she always gives advice on everything. She always gives advice on who's allowed to speak, who isn't allowed to speak. There's so many TikToks of hers that are infamous for her saying, thin people need to shut up. Well, a thin person's existence doesn't give you consent to tell them to shut up. Okay? I mean, this whole line of your terrible logic can be very easily applied back to you. And unless if you're a complete hypocrite, which we know you are, then you would have to listen, wouldn't you? But if you don't have to listen, then neither do we. Okay? Let's continue.
Just like when I went to Fan Expo 2 weekends ago and I had to meet some people. Anyway, that's another story. They had a sign that says cosplay is not consent, which is totally right. That's why you have to ask the fucking person, hey, I like your cosplay, can we take a photo? Yeah, sure, no problem. See, that's consent. Fucking seeing a fat person existing, that's not consent for harassing us and bullying us and giving us unwanted health advice.
So is it okay if you harass and bully people that have different views than you or give them unwanted advice on how to deal with the issue of obesity? And she would probably say, well, this is on my page, blah, blah, blah. Sure. I guess, That probably would be the only argument she really has. But I just don't think that this logic is well applied to other people. It's not well applied to other situations with other people like this. So like when you're in a public space, you can't necessarily control what everybody does. There's of course what's polite, but a lot of people don't care about what's polite. So what are you going to do? If somebody calls you fat in public, what are you going to do? If somebody, if Marissa was like, I don't know, and went on this rant, what would somebody else do? You know what I'm saying? I can kind of understand. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like giving people health advice right off the bat or whatever. So I don't even completely disagree with her in this. I just think the argument's bad. I also think it's funny that she compares being fat to a cosplay, which is funny. But it's obviously not the same at all. So, anyways, let's continue.
Okay? So instead of trying to police other people and police other bodies to feed your fucking ego, just stop it. Worry about yourself. Okay? Thanks.
I don't know. She's entertaining to me. I don't know why. She just is. So I would say I can agree with that to a certain extent. I think if you know somebody, so it's like different. It's similar to like conversations about drugs and like their use, and especially recreationally. Do you have a right to say something or not? Yeah, I think you do. I think people have a right to challenge people's ideas and challenge people's behavior. Once again, Marissa challenges people's behaviors, beliefs all the time. That's what she does on her page. So, unless if she's just speaking out into the ether or the vacuum, or if she is speaking directly at people and trying to change their minds, even if it is on her page, it's still her trying to change minds and change perspectives. So, once again, I don't know, this idea of like, don't police other people's bodies, or don't police this, or don't police that. They don't actually mean it. She doesn't care about policing. She wants to be the one to do it. That's what you guys have to understand with these people. It's not about there being a world of no judgment. They're very judgmental all the time. So, and like I said, when it comes to conversations about addiction, conversations about, maybe somebody's in an abusive relationship or something, should you say something or not, right? It's a moral dilemma type of situation. If you find out that your friend's partner is cheating on them, should you tell them or not? It's one of those situations where people have to really figure that out for themselves, or people will have different views on these issues with different circumstances. But the point is, her view of how society should run is not realistic at all. There will always be situations where you must make judgments, or you must withhold judgment, or you have to make a decision of what you're going to do either way. So it's like they deny this integral part of being a human, this huge part of the human condition. So my idea of it is always just like, I just think when we make judgments about people, or we judge certain things, they need to not be so harsh or so draconian or so impossible. Like, the standards need to not be so impossible, because it can make people just give up entirely. And an example of that is Marissa herself. So when she was younger, she was very much trying to lose weight. She probably did diets that were way too strict. She probably received judgment that was way too harsh. And look at the result. This is what we have. There's also a lot of other stuff that happened. I may make more videos about her origin story, so to speak. But this person is not necessarily well. So I think that that's important to look at too. And I'm trying to look at fat acceptance activists with a little bit of grace. It's not usually my style, but a lot of them are mentally ill. And I think that that's really important for us to talk about. So let's look at the next one.
Okay, thanks. I'm just like really confused. Do you guys only like watch like half of...
So I'm going to just let this play all the way through, and then we're going to talk about it, okay? But please pay attention.
my videos or something? I've had like 4 mental breakdowns on this app, and I have actively talked about my depression and mental health for the last 3 years on this app. Like, I'm pretty sure I have undiagnosed ADHD, depression, possible mood disorder, but those symptoms could be the undiagnosed ADHD. Anxiety, depression, I've had all of that. Right now I'm doing okay, but nowhere have I said I'm not depressed. I've considered myself depressed for the last at least 6 years. So, mind you, none of that has to do with my body or my weight. It all has to do with my situation and my circumstance. And I think here, you know? So I don't know where you're getting your information from. I've literally been to the hospital for, So, I don't know, fact check?
Yeah. So what I do want to talk about here is there's a lot of times where fat activists, they portray that they are happy, but they're not. She's not the first person that has mentioned unaliving herself that I've seen within fat acceptance. And I think that it's really important to note and to understand that these people within this movement are very mentally ill. Very, very mentally ill. I do think some of that could be health related, as I've described on this channel many times. My physical illness of hypothyroidism has caused many psychological symptoms. And even in recovery, I have had many psychological symptoms throughout recovery. So I think that there is this idea that our psychological state is completely divorced from our physical state, but I'm very much a person that believes that it all goes together. So it's really important to keep in mind your physical state, because if your physical state is off, it doesn't matter how your external circumstances are. You will always feel depressed. You will always feel anxious. Now, in the case of Marissa, I guess I will let you guys, I'll just say it. And maybe we'll go more into depth in a future video. But Marissa experienced, I believe it was grape or SA at the very least, but it was severe. And I think that happened, around that 6-year point that she's talking about when she was depressed. And so I think it's important to remember the humanity behind these people, right? And it can be hard when we are dealing with such toxic, deadly rhetoric. It's very difficult, and I understand completely, because it's really hard for me, because I get very angry when it comes to this type of stuff, because this stuff is killing people. This is like deceptive. They're poisoning the minds of younger people. It is so horrible, so caustic. Like, it could bring me to tears how bad it is. But I have to remember that a lot of these people are very broken. And I think a lot of us have been broken before. So I can understand that. And it's hard, because it's hard for two reasons. It's hard because it makes it more difficult of how to deal with these people. It gives me a lot of questions of how do we properly engage with these people? What types of criticisms do we make? What types of attacks on their rhetoric do we do? Or, what types of stuff do we do? Sorry about that. What types of stuff do we do? The other thing is, what do we do about the fact that many people in society are listening to people who are incredibly mentally ill? So I think that there's a lot of issues in society where many normal people feel a pressure to be quiet. And in that silence, it's created a vacuum where only extremely mentally ill people speak very loudly. And this is just a huge issue in society that I've seen for years. And I only really saw it last year, where I made the connection between mental illness and toxic rhetoric. And I just have to ask us, why are we listening to these people? Why are we listening to fat acceptance people? Why are they getting such a voice? Why are they influencing institutions? Why are they influencing doctors? Why are they influencing people when they will say blatantly, I've been to the hospital for trying to unalive myself? Why do they have power? Why do they have sway? What is wrong with us that we're listening to these people? And that's something that I think about, and it really scares me, because I don't know what the answer is. All I can say within the context of this video is that it is important to recognize that these people are very mentally ill, both in how we deal with it and and how we deal with the fact that people are listening to them. So I didn't mean to necessarily drop a black pill on you guys, but please leave your comments below. I'd love to see discussion on this. I'd love to read your thoughts because it's a huge concern of mine. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again soon. Remember to like the video and leave a comment below. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.